How about now? Hey, hey. So this was super, super insightful. Thank you so much for letting me know. Actually, now I know how I can test also my end that mic and voice is coming through. I do have here 3 dots right now that apparently are green. I can confirm that mic is right now, and thank you so much for letting me know. Otherwise, would have been a very strange history of us recording without note. Now, okay, awesome. Thank you so much for the feedback. Cool. All right, let's go through questions quickly, quickly, quickly. And by the way, today we're going to continue our Ask Me Anything sessions that is Amazon Ads related. My name is Noemi. I'm the founder of ScaleWave. We're a marketing agency specialized in digital marketing for brands that are selling on Amazon. We're specialized in helping 6 and 7 figure brands on Amazon. And right now, apparently, I cannot find the questions that have been submitted. So if you have any question that is ads related, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. If you have any business question, again, feel free to drop it in the comment section. We are just going to prioritize at the beginning Amazon ads related questions. If nothing's coming through that is ads related or we should be discussing about, then we're going to be switching to other questions that are not ads related. However, I would love to prioritize those because those are the ones that we are going to create content around. Okay, cool. So I do have here, for some reason on Instagram, it seems like it's blurry. It's okay. It's the best we can do. I'm going to go through questions. All right. So you understand today's session, we have a dedicated 45 minutes to the session where we're going to go through the questions that are submitted. As I was saying, we are going to prioritize topics that are Amazon ads related, especially beginner friendly questions. Why beginner friendly questions? 6 years ago when I started selling on Amazon and I had to learn the skill of Amazon ads by my own, there were a lot of questions I was asking and probably not the best questions because I did not know what to do, how to do it. However, what I did do, and probably what you are doing as well, is prioritize tips, tricks, and all the latest things to implement in my business, especially when it comes down to Amazon ads. And what happened is that I was at some of them successful, at others not. Problem was that I did not have the reps. I did not understood why something works, why didn't, and whenever something broke, quote unquote, so I did not know how to troubleshoot that. That's why I'm prioritizing beginner questions. And even if you're a brand owner and right now just looking to, hey, I want to transition to another agency, at least let me know how you think. Happy to show you throughout the session because that's really important. What we're doing at ScaleWave is strategic thinking, and besides strategic thinking, we also have a managerial side of things where we're managing the ads. Now, quick caveat there, management simply means what we are doing on a daily basis to achieve the goals that we have for a month or for a quarter or for even a year if the brand does has the capabilities of achieving those things, right? So based on that, allow me to start the first question. Exact phrase brought without cannibalization. That is the question. So I assume the question is how would you use these match types in order to not cannibalize each other? Great question. So what we're doing is scale with broad match and phrase match. We are going to categorize them for discovery campaigns and exact matches for harvesting whatever works and scaling winners. Now, here it says the question exact phrase broad. What we have also on the keywords targeting side, that is what we have, but also on the product targeting side, we also have exact match and an expansion of the exact match. When it comes down to product, we are categorizing them exactly the same way. So whenever it's exact match on the product side, so the exact ASIN, we are going to consider those ranking campaigns. Now, why the question is great is because the same term live in a broad plus exact, usually people are saying that cannibalization is something that one keyword is eating from each other. What we've seen on our end is actually we tested this and we had different campaigns that are targeting the same keyword in exact matches. We created 3 campaigns, it's exactly the same keyword, and we allocated 3 different budgets. Now, lo and behold, what happened on our end, first off, what we learned is that even if we are going to push for certain placements like top of search, rest of search, or product pages, Amazon still is going to favor the one placement. Now, what we noticed, if we're going to create the 3 campaigns that are again exact matches, so this falls within the category of is this going to cannibalize the other campaign? But we found out it's not cannibalizing, rather than it's creating budget to a different placement. And also, in case that the first campaign is running out of budget, the second campaign will still have enough budget left in order to pick up the spend for the campaign. So when it comes down to cannibalization, I would say rather focus on having a good negation system, and focus on making sure that exact campaigns you're never negating. For broad and praise, you can add negatives. What we would do also, we would structure everything by match type. So whenever we're creating a campaign, it's going to be either broad, either phrase, either match type. We are not going to either exact match type. We are not going to combine them. Why? Because it's taking away traffic from each other. Caveat there, and I'm going to wrap up the answer. Caveat there, what we're seeing on our end when we're taking over accounts that we have not managed, yet it has been done previous account management on the ad side, we do face campaigns that are working really well that were both of the exact match, phrase match, or even broad matches on. In that case, what we're going to call is we're going to see, hey, what's working right now for this campaign, and should we pause one of them? Reason for that is because really you cannot, whenever you have all the 3 match types inside the one campaign, you cannot control where spend goes, right? Besides the fact that you're going to pause that exact match type. So when it comes down to campaign hygiene, best practice to make sure that you're not going to cannibalize is make sure that you have a good campaign structure. You're never mixing exact with the other match types. That would be the best things, because then you have one source of truth, right? When it comes down to converting for the exact terms that you want to. Let me know if that helped. Okay. Next question. How do placement modifiers, top of search, product pages, and rest of search work? So when you're creating one campaign, especially here, placement modifiers, it's applicable for sponsored products most. Yes, it applies to sponsored brands as well. What I'm going to teach you is way more applicable to sponsored products, so just keep that in mind. So when it comes to sponsored products, how do placement modifiers work? There are 3 different placements right now that are native within any campaign, which is top of search. So the first page of Amazon, you're going to type in a keyword. Let's say, what did I type in today? I was typing in this, it's not a baby hammock, but how would you call it? A baby carrier, front-facing baby carrier. So I can put the baby right here, my front with the baby facing outside. So that was the keyword that I was clicking on, that I was typing on. And based on whatever I found, the first 3 products that I really liked, those are the ones that I clicked on, and those are the ones that I saw first. So top of search placement is the one that is bringing you the products right in front of you. Whenever someone is going to type in the keyword itself, they're going to find them. Now, when it comes down to the other rest of them, it's going to be product pages. So here, just an example, say I clicked on the first product that shows on top of search. Next, I was scrolling on the product. I wanted to understand better if that product is for me or it's not, or if it is for me, when should I use it? Example, there are a few carriers that are up to from 6 months to 36, right? Our baby right now is 3 plus, almost 4 months. So in our case, we should not be even looking at those products. So then that was clear. Okay, so I clicked within. It was not clear within the title that this is for my baby, for the age of my baby. Then I'm going to just scout the rest. I'm going to scroll down on the page, and then another product, right in the title, they said from 3 to 6 months, or from 0 to 3 months. That was a clear indicator for me that those are the products I should be checking out. So those are product pages placement. Now, when it comes down to anything that is not that, product placement or types of search placement is going to become rest of search. Really important here, again, we just learned this not long ago. We took over an account and we audited their account, and it was clear that they had placement modifiers in place. After the second week, once we like deep down into, okay, what are the next things that we should be making sure that we're focusing on. What we did not notice, however, unfortunately, is that this account had multiple audiences targeted, and that's also a placement modifier. And to your question, but because you were asking how do placement modifier works, here they also had different audiences, and because it was a different management at company, we could not see what those audiences were. Hence, there were placement modifiers that are going to push for more spend if you're going to show on a specific placement. But what unfortunately happened on our end, since we did not know that those exist, we did not even acknowledge them. So in that situation, what you can do, if this is maybe you, make sure that when you're talking about placement modifiers, you're going to look at absolutely all placement, even the newer placements such as audience modifiers. And if you're taking over an account such like as we did, make it as campaign hygiene and structure hygiene of, hey, look at all placements besides the top three, right? But basically, in a nutshell, how do modifiers work? They are going to just bump up the price for of the top base bid for that placement. This is how it works, right? Best practices when it comes down to this would be, we would be raising placements percentage. So from 0, we are raising it to 35, then 50, then 100, and so on. We're not going to jump to the maximum. And then the second thing, what we're doing, if we have campaigns that already performed well and it's generated enough data for us, we are going to see on which placement did we had most sales at the lowest ACoS, that is closest to our break-even ACoS, and those are the placements that we're going to modify bids on, add modifiers on. Last thing about the placement modifiers, because this is also important, whenever we're creating the exact match campaigns where we want to dominate specific placement, for those one we are going to add straight out of the bed the placement modifiers. Why? Is because we want to make sure that this is exact match, we want to rank for it, we want to make sure that it's on top of search placement. Now, just because you added a placement, it's no guarantee from Amazon that your ad is going to show up on that placement. However, the purpose of this strategy is to taking advantage and making sure that on our end, we are making sure that we are not going to optimize a bid strategy, like bidding the highest and show up there, rather than if we have the chance to bid, let's say, middle ground and then add a placement modifier, can we strategically make sure that we are showing up there? Again, why? Is because especially if you are having this dynamic bidding strategy, then that bid is going to outbid your competitor. This is just a bit more complex what I was saying the last few phrases, but it's important for you to know because you were asking about how do placement modifier works. Technically, it's going to work that way. One more thing before I let you go is it's important to make sure that for previous campaigns who already have data gathered, we would look at 14 to 30 days data even to make sure that at least we have 10 orders for one specific placement where we would be considering even placement modifier for an existing campaign. Cool. Next question is, should every sponsored product campaign be dynamic bids down only? So that's a great question. And when we are talking about bid dynamics, we are talking about bids down only, bids up and down, and fixed bids. So in our agency, we do tend to go for dynamic down only, simply because this is going to be one of the default settings that we are the safest with to play around. You can go also for fixed. What we're doing when it's exact match, and we also use placement modifiers, we might be going with fixed bids. However, what we saw on our end, we have the best performance for what we're doing right now with dynamic bids down only. Never go up and down unless you understand that the campaign performs already in a certain way that is easy for you to also make sure that you are going to have the correct bids for it. We usually see overspending on these campaign types, and the worst case is that, again, if you are managing your ads, and even if someone else is managing your ads, if they're not taking note of that, this would be one of the very latest steps that someone would notice that is the cause of the account not performing well when it comes down to optimization, either for scaling, right? So we would go with the safest when it comes down to that. Really important. For the past year or so, dynamic bids down only was the default when it comes down to Amazon. However, quietly, without any notifications, they switched this. So right now it's going to be dynamic bid up and down, dynamic bid down only, and then fixed bid. Why is this important? Because if you're creating your ads from the ad console, it might happen that you're going to go by default to bids up and down instead of down only. Very, very careful when you're creating your ads from the ad console directly. Okay, let's drink some more. 120. Also some chapstick on. Do I need brand defense and how much budget should I allocate? So what brand defense is that you're going to target your own branded terms and branded keywords in this case, and also your own ASINs in order to make sure that your product is going to show up. Now, when can you use this strategy? You can use it only if you have multiple products available to sell. If you have the one product, brand defense, it's not going to be very helpful to defend your own ASINs. Branded keywords still might be helpful, but again, you will have the one product. So what we come to realize is that it's really interesting to understand how do brand defense campaigns work, because once that we are going to understand that and we're going to zoom out for clarity, on an account basis, it can be that you have non-branded and branded terms that are converting. And what we saw on our end is that brand defense, if we're not going to protect our own listings, someone else is going to jump on the listings. And yes, I know that there are certain advertisers who are saying that you should not be allocating money to this because anyhow you're going to get traffic. And I would say that's not necessarily the case. And how I notice that is especially when we are becoming bigger in the marketplace. For example, this one consumable product that we've been advertising for the past 2 years, almost 3 years, they seem to be forever our clients, and I absolutely love them, stay our clients. What we noticed on their end is that their brand keywords became more and more expensive, and the reason for that is because they gain additional market share on Amazon. So our competitors also noticed us and wanted to take away brand market share. Now, what would have happened if we would have not been running any more ads for our own products? Our competitor, they would have shown their own products there. So in that strategy, in that case, you're always going to invest in it. And the second thing that I always like to say now, especially since I'm a new mom, what I did on my end, I was of course looking up, okay, which are the best diapers for kids, and I was looking in between Pampers and Huggies. And when I was looking for baby diapers, Huggies was the first one that came up on that term, right? Baby diapers. Now, Huggies became the diaper that we're using on a monthly, like on a daily basis, at least 5 of them. Before the baby was even smaller, 10 to 50 of them per day. So just the fact that someone was advertising for baby diapers and they got that market share, it's important because right now, if I would be going back to buy the baby diapers, I would not be going back and write Pampers baby diapers or any, like, even baby diapers. I would go straight and I would write Huggies baby diapers. Why is this important? Is because it's staying as a clear fact and evidence to the fact that if you already want someone on your side, they are going to use your brand name and they are going to reference your product in order to find your product. Now, what would have happened is if Huggies are not going to anymore advertise for Huggies baby diapers, clearly Pampers or any other brand are going to show up on Huggies baby diapers. So this was kind of a thinking backwards method. However, it's really important for you to understand because most of the time people are going to say, no, you should not be defending your own branded terms. I would disagree with that. And I think that's more important to make sure that you're going to defend it. Next question. When is a search term ready to harvest into exact? Great question. So this is a great question, especially for people who are newbies to ads and they don't understand exactly how to replicate success. And by that, what I mean is that if you're opening up an ad campaign and if you have, several sales for specific broad phrase or even broad modified search terms coming in, what you're going to notice is there's one sale for the product. But if you would be advertising that one word, it's highly unlikely that you're going to be converting. So it's a good rule of thumb. What we developed, a scale wave is to have at least 5 to 10 orders coming in for it to be considered. That is a good term for us to build on because those are real orders and not one order fluke, right? And here again, the second thing what we are going to look into, what is acceptable ACOS for us. Why is this important? Is because if we're seeing, for example, if we have a handful of search terms converting, one is converting at 50%, one at 20, one at 100, one it's not converting at all. From the one term, that can generate multiple search terms, we want to make sure that the one that is converting the best is the one that is going to be replicated, and not only converting with the best, but ideally at break-even ACOS or even under break-even ACOS. So there we have already two signals. The first signal is that first off, it converted, and then the second signal, it converted enough for us to prove that there's a pattern of purchases. If someone is going to look up that particular keyword, it's going to generate a search term. So that's the way how we would be doing it. When it comes down here to priorities, I think it's important to also note that you are not going to take away that keyword that performed well in the discovery campaign and add it into the exact campaign, exact match campaign, and then take it away from the discovery campaign. You still leave it in the discovery campaign because there's a high chance that that keyword is going to still be converting for you cheaper than an exact match campaign. It's not probably going to convert at the same volume as an exact match where you are controlling the budget and controlling on which keyword to land that budget. However, it's still good to have it. Okay. Sponsored products versus sponsored brands versus display ads. One to use each. So when it comes down to this, imagine it's a funnel, right? So in the funnel, it's going to be people who are typing one specific keyword, who are looking for solving one problem from themselves. Like I gave example with the baby carrier, front-facing baby carrier. In that case, that is my problem. I am going to serve sponsored product ads because once that someone is going to type that in, the information is going to load and the product is going to show up. That is a clear sign for someone they wants to buy right away. Now, when it comes down to sponsored brands and sponsored display, you can use this also right away when you're going to start ads. However, what we notice on our end, these are usually ads that are going to, some of them, for example, the video ad in sponsored brand video ads might have a better conversion than sponsored product. However, what we noticed is that the conversion is not going to have the same strength as it's going to have with sponsored products. When it comes down to strength, simply just ranking efficiency. However, when it comes down to click-through rate, it will have a higher click-through rate. When it comes down to sponsored display ads, here again, you can use sponsored display to retarget specific audiences and categories, or you can retarget people who already purchased from you in a specific time frame. So say that you have a consumable product, someone did not convert it, they might have been adding it to the cart, the product, but it did not convert it. You might want to retarget those people. That's basically how everything works. When it comes down to percentage and how we would distribute spend on all three of these, very important, we would still allocate most of our ad spend to sponsor product ads. Reason for that is because, as I was saying, we were looking into, so if we're going to experiment and we are going to try ranking, and we are ranking for specific keywords, what we noticed is that sponsored product sticks more for some reason than a sponsored brand ad, for example. So we would have around 80% of our ads sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display can have their own percentage. More sponsored brands, less sponsored display. There's not a rule of how much should we allocate. What we for sure know is that whenever we, for example, there was a brand at the beginning, sponsored product was too expensive. They started sponsored brand video ads. And then what happened is that sponsored brand video ads, they picked up and they made lots of sales, and it was like broad match, and it picked up a lot of sales. However, that brand had a hard time ranking for sponsored products because when someone clicked on the exact keyword in a sponsored product ad, they would have not converted. They converted just because there was a video ad. And the video ad was distinctive and it attracted clicks and then purchases. So that is my take on what your question was. Okay, cool. Let me also drink some more. Amazing to see so many of you joining. Hey, and welcome. Again, if you just joined, my name is Noemi. I am the founder of ScaleWave. We're specializing in helping brands between 6 and 7 monthly, yearly figures selling at Amazon. If monthly, that's also fine. Feel free to drop a comment in the chat and ask your question. So we are having our weekly AMA sessions that are topic relevant, and today's topic is again Amazon ads. So right now what I'm doing, I'm answering all the questions that are coming in through the chat, or if they have been submitted previously. Interesting question. So it says, my impressions are okay, but click-through rate is terrible. Is it a PPC or a listing issue? There is an easy way to discover this one. So, because it can be both. And why the question is because you might not know. If your traffic is irrelevant, probably it's going to be a PPC issue. But if your traffic is relevant and even in exact match and the keywords are highly describing your product, then it might be a listing issue. Getting back to today's example, which is the front-facing baby carrier that I was checking out today on Amazon. In that example, usually what's going to come down to, so if I'm writing front-facing baby carrier and the first image that comes out, it's a back-facing baby carrier, it means that, or like baby, instead of having her face here, has her face back to me. That is not the product I was looking for. Yes, it's exactly the same product that I was looking for in sense of the functionality, but when it comes down, can the baby turn with face up, outward versus to me? It's not the same product, right? And you might be arguing that yes, it's the same product and it has the same functionality. No, it's not. And especially if you're doing just a bit of research, they are for certain age groups when you're allowed to use the front facing, when you're allowed to use the facing to your mom or myself facing. So if you're targeting that keyword, front facing baby carrier, and your product immediately shows the listing image that the baby is turned either to the side, either to the mom or the parent who's wearing it, that is not describing the product. So there what we have, it it is a traffic irrelevancy. So the traffic that you're bringing is not relevant enough. In that case, it is a listing issue, and also, in that case, it is a targeting issue. Now, let's say when it comes down to a listing issue, in this case, again, I'm writing front-facing baby carrier. And in this case, in the listing, really, you can see the baby's face, and it is a front-facing baby carrier product. Now, next, what's going to be is I'm going to scout through the images, and then I'm going to see first off which of the designs I like more. There are some of the designs where here the lower part of the baby there's more room or there is less room, so it's narrow or it's like more full. For me personally, I don't like it if it's too big, the space. I would have it more narrow because then the baby doesn't have to sit awkwardly, right? That is a design preference. That is still a front-facing baby carrier. So once that you have that, again, it's not a listing issue, it's not a traffic issue either, it is a preference issue. Now we're going one step more further on the line. In case that you're seeing that, okay, someone is going to click within the listing, but then they realize, oh, here it says in the listing that, and I saw this only on the pictures, that is between 6 to 36 months. But the customer was shopping for a 0 to 6 months, for example, or 0 to 3 months. Clearly, it's not going to be a good fit. So there, it's going to be a listing or irrelevancy when it comes down to the product. Let me know if this explains a bit better. It's really important because once that you're going to generate sales, you want to make sure that the sales that you're generating are exactly for the product that you're selling. What else I would be doing? This brings me another follow-up question to the same topic. What else would I be doing in case that you have this issue? Especially I'm thinking right now for if you have, for example, a different design and your product is both like front-facing, but it's just a design preference. There's not much to do there, honestly, because that is your design, so you wouldn't be able to change that. Yeah, I think those are the things that I can think of right now when it comes down to this. Okay. Before I let you go, I think it's really important to mention that sometimes you might be doing everything right, but if you're not considering the strategy that you are allocating your budget to, again, it's not going to be helpful. In this example, I can think of if you have a discovery campaign where you have anything but exact match, that is going to bring different traffic to your listing. So then conversion there and even click-through rate is going to be way lower than if it would be in an exact match. It is also something that you should be considering. Okay. 5 more minutes to go. Let's see, what else do we have here? The same keyword in multiple campaigns hurt me. They don't. You can have the same keywords in multiple campaigns. We do have even a strategy for having the same keywords in multiple campaigns that is going to just reallocate additional budget in case that the first campaign it has no additional budget, and or it's going to offer us specific placements to keep on. So that's not a problem. And I also would not negate anywhere else, because if you're converting cheaply for a keyword, should not be negating. How often should I optimize without overreacting? Great question. So when it comes down to optimizations, we would do this 3 times per week. And the reason for that is because you want to allow enough attribution time to settle in. We do have a 2 days attribution window when Amazon is going to collect the sales and the clicks and the orders. Usually the orders are the ones that needs to pick up with whatever spend it was. Spend is usually something that would not change or would slightly change only. But when it comes down to sales, sales is something that is going to change. So you're going to see a different percentage, and you are allocating attribution for that. We would be using this strategy of optimizing 3 times per week. What you can also do is you can classify optimizations differently, because you're asking how often should I optimize without overacting? What are we optimizing? Are we optimizing bids? Are we optimizing campaign budgets? Are we optimizing for taking out negative keywords? Are we optimizing for harvesting? So those are all optimization techniques. And when it comes down to that, we would daily optimize for budget pacing, right? Making sure that we are in stock for our products, and also making sure that there's no obvious bleeders on the account where it's like it's spending $500 per day, like nothing happening. Usually what's happening then in that situation is that the next day orders come in, and it's going to stabilize the campaign itself. But really important when it comes down to budget pacing, that is going to be important for you, because if you see that you have a good campaign that is performing well, is bringing you orders in below your break-even ACOS, wouldn't you want that campaign to get more budget? Yes, of course you would. Would you wait for a whole week to have that data? You would not. So then you would do it on a daily basis. Now, on a weekly basis, what we're doing or every 2 days basis, we're doing the bid optimization. Every week, we're doing the weekly. So harvesting, negating, and when it comes down to looking into specific placement modifiers, we actually would do this bi-weekly, so not weekly. Bi-weekly, because we were talking about that, or even monthly, we would be looking at the structure of the placements. Is there a specific portfolio goal? If there's a specific tacos review, that's when we're going to do it. And one rule of thumb here is to not have major bid cuts in products. Or when it comes down to, hey, we know clearly that this product is not profitable, we are going to cut down back on anything, pause rather than, just make the bid lower. Why? Is because if we know clearly that a product is not being profitable and we're not getting quick enough to lower its bids, and the brand says, hey, I'm just wasting money, let's just, until I'm figuring out a way how to make this product more profitable, just pause the ads that are right now not working, and we're not going to go anywhere with optimization in next week or so on. Then is when we would pause it. But kind of this is the strategy that we have at ScaleWave. Let me know if that helped. All right, we have 3 more minutes to go. We are going to take one more question. Amazing. Going to have one more sip as well of yummy black tea. All right, question is, how should Q4 peak change bids, budgets, and structure? So great question. The way how we are structuring this one and strategizing for it, we are expecting for CPC inflation that's going to be there. You cannot say that it's not going to be an inflation. Now, when it comes down to that, what we're going to do, we are going to raise budgets on the things that are working. So if we have the example I just gave a few moments ago, if we have a campaign under break-even ACOS is bringing us 10, 20, 50 orders per week, that's a campaign that should be living throughout the whole day. We are going to make sure that first we are optimizing budget, so we're going to increase budgets on that. And then the next thing is we're going to make sure that we're protecting everything that already proved winner, and especially has an exact match and TOS modifier, because what we want to make sure is that those are the campaigns we are focusing on, and not the discovery campaigns that technically should be bringing in cheap sales, and with a CPC inflation, highly likely they are not going to be able to do so. What we're going to do is also making sure that we are thinking through and we understand that it's going to be a CPC inflation no matter what. So what can we control on our end? What of the things we can do is we're just, again, looking through our listings, seeing, hey, these are the ads that right now we are running for the listing. This is how the listing looks like. Is this still relevant? Or should we keep this discovery campaign still on? Right now, if we're testing them, maybe it's not a good idea, even if you are pausing the campaign, and just make a small note to enable it once that you're back, then it's going to be way more helpful. Why am I saying pausing instead of modifying bids, so lowering bids, is because what we noticed is it's highly likely for us to get hit with higher CPC even if we are going to lower the bids for some reason. I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure if this is like intentionally done or not. It's what happened during the past 2 years. So we are now intentionally pausing campaigns that are discovery campaigns that are just like we're just testing them. One more thing that is really important to note is that we're not going to have any new campaigns created during this season. Again, why? It's because it's high season. CPC is going to be expensive for us, so we should not be right now testing things. I think one filter that you can use is really, do you want to make more sales or do you want to be profitable during this season? Because what's happening is that you can, many people are saying that we sold like $3 million, $5 million for this month, and that was a huge jump for us. And I'm saying yes. So if you had inventory and if you had, the budget for ads, and if you wanted to do one specific strategy, great. Were you also profitable or not? And if you're not profitable, my opinion is that don't do all these like swings and changes and so on if at the end you're going to run out of stock. So that is my view there. All right, thank you so much for everyone submitting your questions. We are wrapping up for the day. My name is Noemi. I'm the founder of ScaleWave. As I was saying, we are helping brands strategically by strategic thinking Amazon ads for their accounts, and we're managing them and we're growing and scaling their accounts. Now, if you're a brand owner who's interested in whatever we can offer, would be more than happy to jump on a quick call. Caveat there, if you're not spending just yet that much, at least $5,000 per month, probably the conversation is not going to be super helpful. Rather, go through all these sessions. We are selecting all of those, cutting them up into small tidbits you can listen to on YouTube on specific topics. So I would do that. If you're already spending at least $5,000 or even up, more than happy to jump on a quick call, give a quick analysis of whatever is going on right now in your account, and let you know what is our take, how we would be taking over, how we would be managing the ads. If we would be managing them, of course, you can take those ideas and run with it, or have us partner up if we see that it's a great fit for both of us. Again, thanks so much for watching. See you next week when we are going to be back at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Till then, be good and hope to chat with you on LinkedIn as well. Say hi Noemi, shout out a comment, give a like. I would be more than appreciating that. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye.